Hi there, welcome in. I am Nisha Player Roulette, yoga teacher trainee at the Dawn and River School of Yoga, the Spring 2022 cohort, and this is my independent project, Ayurveda. So we had the opportunity to dig deeper into a topic that we were interested in when it came to yoga. Ayurveda was kind of a natural transition for me. By occupation, I'm a registered dietitian. That's a lot of nutrition. And I was like, I want to compare and contrast. I want to see the differences. I want to see how it's going to fit. How does it work compared to what I already know and what I already practice. Ayurveda. So before we jump into Ayurveda and all things Ayurveda, there's three concepts that I have to introduce to you. First concept being the elements, the doshas, and the gunas. So as we go through these three concepts, I'll explain them first and then we'll really get into the meat of Ayurveda. Because Ayurveda can be a lot. Ayurveda is basically the framework to sync our mind and our body with nature. What's already happening in nature, seasons, times of day, so many different things. So let's jump right into it. I'm going to pull up a graphic. I'm going to have a few graphics throughout this teaching up for you guys just as visuals. So let's jump into it. As an added bonus, there will be an instructional cooking video of an Ayurvedic meal, curry shrimp with peppers, jasmine rice, and sauteed spinach. We're going to go over the first concept, which is the elements. 5 elements, which is space, ether. That's the most subtle of the 5 elements. Then there's water, fire, air, and earth. So of these 5 elements are then used within our constitution, how they flow in our body. And everyone has a different constitution, and there's many different quizzes out there that you can take to determine your constitution. But the 3 main constitutions are Pitta, Kapha, and Vata. Pitta, Kapha, Vata. And let me pull up a graphic right here on the screen. So Pitta, Vata, Kapha are the 3 doshas, and that's your constitution, your main constitution. Like I said, there's many quizzes you can take to determine your constitution. I am going to put a link in here for the Banyan Botanicals quizzes. Again, you know, if you do a Google search, you'll see other quizzes there. And sometimes, you know, our constitutions change throughout our lifetimes and where we are. So go ahead, if you like, take one of these quizzes, answer the questions as truthfully as possible. And sometimes people take quizzes more than one time. But we have one main constitution. Sometimes there are people that are tridoshic. Pitta. Pitta is made up of the elements fire and water. Vata is made up of air and ether. And Kapha is made up of earth and water. So there you have the 5 elements. Now you see how the 5 elements flow with the doshas. And then finally, we have the final concept, which is the gunas. The gunas is the sattva, the tamas, and the rajas. So here on this next graphic, I'm going to show you here how these 3 elements that I just explained to you kind of flow together. So if you look right here at the top, you have the sattva flows into space, fire, and water. And then you have the rajas. Rajas flows into air and fire. And then you have the tamas, which it flows into water and earth. And then it shows you how the 5 elements then flow into each constitution. Again, Vata is space and air, ether and air. Pitta is fire and water. And then kapha is water and earth. So now that we've gotten those concepts down, right? And we see how those concepts work within each other and how they relate to each other, now we can jump into some of these Ayurvedic terms. So then next we're going to move into the Ayurvedic clock. So when you move into the Ayurvedic clock is based on your constitution. So that's why I had to introduce constitution first, which is the doshas, whether you're Pitta, Vata, or Kapha, because the Ayurvedic clock is heavily, not heavily, it's based on your dosha. So with the Ayurvedic clock, there's a measure of like 3 different things. Times a day, and it's broken up into 6 different cycles. Seasons, which is only 3 blocks of time throughout the year versus 4 blocks of time. You know, we're typically used to summer, winter, spring, and fall. There's only 3 times of year when it talks about it in Ayurveda. And then the stages of life. So here is a photo I have here where it talks about, it's very illustrative, right? And it talks about Pitta, and it explains the elements within Pitta. So if you're coming from the inside, you have him sitting in the middle there. And looks like all of his chakras are aligned in a perfect world, right? That's what we all aim to be. And so as you can see, it talks about the doshas, and the elements are right inside. So there's the elements, and then there's the doshas. It explains which elements belong with each doshas, and then it talks about times of year. So as you can see on this very outside, it does show you the 4 seasons: the summer, the fall, the winter, and the spring. But if you go just inside of there, you'll see that for Pitta, it's from 10 until 2. So 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. So there's 2 cycles of time, right? And then you move over to Vata from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. and then from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. And that's another 2 blocks of time. And then you go to Kapha, it's from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. and then from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. And that's the final 2 blocks of time, or 2 cycles of time for the Kapha. And then seasons. As stated before, our standard calendar is on 4 seasons, but the Ayurvedic is on 3 seasons. If you take a look right in here, just where it says summer, fall, winter, and spring, just inside of there, you'll see the constitution of Pitta, and that is from mid-May to mid-September, and then Vata from mid-September to mid-January, and Kapha from mid-January to mid-May. As we prepare to dive deeper into Ayurveda, right? Let's talk about what Ayurveda is not, because there's so many misconceptions. Ayurveda is this, Ayurveda is that. Ayurveda, okay, myth number 1, Ayurveda is vegan. Ayurveda is not vegan. Ayurveda breaks so in the standard nutrition, we break the food up into different food groups based on what they are: meats, proteins. However, Ayurveda breaks them up according to taste. And the idea of Ayurveda is to balance all of the taste within each meal. So it's not a balancing of the food groups, it's a balancing of the taste, which kind of correlates to different food groups. Not really, but it really balances it according to taste. Ayurveda is not a particular style of cooking, which some people be like, oh, this Indian style of cooking or that style of cooking or so many different styles of cooking. It's not. Ayurveda can be used in any style of cooking because, as a matter of fact, the meal that I prepare for you guys is a curry shrimp with rice and spinach. And I even have played around with it in my own kitchen with Ayurveda to put together different meals. So once we understand the concept of Ayurvedic nutrition, then we can figure out how to put it in just one meal. I'll be explaining is the 6 tastes. And I told you in the previous video that Ayurveda is breaking up based on taste. So you have sweet, sour, salty, pungent, astringent, and bitter. Now, based on these 6 tastes, you want to balance your meal per meal based on these 6 tastes, and it's based on the Constitution. This visual shows the composition of each taste. So if you'll show right here where it shows the composition, the sweet is earth and water, sour, earth and fire, salty, water and fire, and so on and so forth until you get to the bottom of the page. I don't want to be redundant. But go over to the next one. It shows you the kapha, the pitta, and vata, and shows you how they're balanced within the body. So it shows that the sweet is both earth and water. So the kapha has plus plus, but then the pitta and the vata are lacking there. And in Ayurveda, a state of balance is the ultimate goal. This state of balance is so important. It's called the Agni. The Agni is the entity that is responsible for all digestion and metabolic processes within the human body. Now, if this fire, this Agni, that is used to convert our food into energy, if it's imbalanced, then our bodies aren't performing optimally. So that's why state of balance is so important within each meal throughout the day. So here's another graphic, and it shows you how the 6 tastes are derived from the 5 elements. To strengthen the dosha, choose foods with the taste which influence them. To reduce the doshic effects, choose the other taste. So again, like I was telling you, with the sweet, because it is the earth and the water, that's primarily the kapha dosha. If you're trying to decrease your kaphic dosha, then you want to choose other foods, not the sweet foods. So with sour foods, because it's earth and fire, if you're mainly a pitta, then you want to choose foods other than these sour foods. You want to choose foods like sweet foods, or you want to choose more astringent foods or bitter foods, but less pungent, salty, and sour foods. The same is true for the other constitutions, i.e., if you're a vata, you want to choose less astringent, bitter, and pungent foods and more salty, sour, and sweet, and so on and so forth. Now that we've explained how everything works together, let's get into this meal that's been prepared. Our ingredient list includes fresh shrimp large, cilantro, lemon, lime, onion, jasmine rice, garlic, ginger, cayenne pepper, bell pepper, and in that little bowl has some curry powder, a little slap your mama, salt, and pepper. 1 cup of rice, pinch of salt, and we want to go ahead and get started with our rice first. Rice takes 20 minutes to cook. 20 minutes to cook rice. No real way around that, making your rice, especially if you're making it in a pot. And this is definitely one thing you have to know being a Louisiana woman. Put your top on here, set your timer. Minutes. Let's get chopping.
put it together.
All right, let's see if this can start. Always want to rinse your vegetables off, even your peppers on the inside. And we are going to get to chopping. So now that we've chopped all of our vegetables, we're just going to give our lime a little roll to release the juices inside. And the same thing with the lemon, going to give the lemon a roll to release the juices inside. So when it's time to use them, we're good to go. In the pan, I have placed the onion, red bell pepper, and garlic. Saute it down for 5 minutes. Now once that's mixed well nicely together, at this point we're going to add our ginger. Now for the ginger, you can do it to your taste. I usually do about half a teaspoon of the ginger. It's pretty potent. So I take the ginger straight from the container and I eyeball it. You can measure it in a measuring cup if you want to. But I do eyeball this. So ginger in the pan. Also gonna add the fresh cilantro to the pan. And now just give it all a good mixing together. It smells so delicious in this kitchen. I wish you could smell all of the fresh ingredients, the garlic mixed with the onion and the peppers and cilantro and ginger. It smells like heaven in this kitchen. Now that that's all mixed together real well, I'm going to turn the temperature down to low. I'm going to put the top on it. And we're going to let it go for about 5 minutes just to let all those flavors marry together. You can set your timer 5 minutes, and in 5 minutes, you'll be good to go. Up next, saute spinach. Salt and pepper for the seasoning, garlic, and always a little bit of cayenne. All right. So today we are using frozen chopped spinach. Put it in the pan here. Put a little EVOO. here. I like to take it, push it down just a tad bit. Put your garlic in here. And then your salt and pepper. Real easy, real easy. And you can season this to your taste. Okay, my favorite. Always go a little extra. I like to turn it up a little bit. Get it rolling. And all stir it in. Now that our timer's gone off, we're gonna go over here and check on our curry shrimp. It's smelling delicious in this kitchen. Our curry shrimp is pretty much done. We have some final touches coming up soon. But for now, let's just go ahead and retop it. And then we'll take a look at our rice. With the rice, I use the 2-to-1 method, 2 cups of water, 1 cup of rice. Voila. Perfect pot of rice each time, 20 minutes from start to finish. Spinach, rolling right along. And I typically like to wait till last. When my shrimp is good and ready, I'll take some lime, put it over and reel that in. Put it over. Give it a final stir. Oh, it smells so good. Turn the fire completely off. Sort of pack it down. Nice and tight. Put that over. Juicy spinach. Final. That'll be the shrimp. Put it right over to the side. Let's move this around here. To get a little fan of peppers going here. This is just for plating purposes, but they also taste really good. The lemon and lime. take a little fresh cilantro, for Pete's sake. Put it over the top. If you really want to get fancy, take a little cilantro leaf. Put it smack dab in the middle. And what I say, my favorite, on the top. There we have it. Ayurvedic cooking with a southern twist. May the light in me meet the light in you. I should.